of girls talk about this and that. Get familiar with Blue and the charm ones too. Charm Chats. Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra.
And Kat. It's gonna be a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're up to 218.
Yeah.
We're getting so close to the end of the season.
So close!
So close.
And then we never have to deal with greasy-haired Dan ever again.
Yeah.
Why does he never wash his hair?
Hey, you know...
On days that he's shooting. Like, what is it? What's the actor's name?
Yeah, you know, I don't even remember anymore.
Dan, come on.
Yeah.
We only see him for a grand total of, like, a minute in this episode. I'm just like, wash your goddamn hair, dude.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing, though. He goes to hair and makeup like everybody else.
Yeah, I know.
So, it's not his fault. It's the hair and makeup department's fault.
It's his fault for not washing. It's their fault for not telling him.
No. That's the thing. I really don't think that that's the problem. I think that that is a style choice that they made for this character.
If it were gel, his hair would not move as much as it does.
I'm not saying that it's gel. I'm just saying it is that is a style choice that they made for this character.
Why? Why? 90s, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay,
Hey,
so...
at least it wasn't like Sugar Ray blonde tips, you know?
True, but I just remembered something that happened on Friday. I was at a stand-up show that was in the lobby of an apartment building downtown. The most dog-friendly apartment building I've ever been in.
Nice.
Dogs were constantly walking by, and that would have added to the show if every time I started to pay attention to a dog, I couldn't hear what she was saying, because shitty mic did not reach the entire room. But then afterward, we're just all, like, chilling on the couch, and she sees a guy walk into an elevator that has a mirror in the back of it, and he steps out of line of sight of the immediate, like, he's at where he thinks he's hidden, and then he's got, like, 90s floppy hair, so he does this, like, check. And watching her reenact that check was possibly one of the best points of the night. Nice. It was great.
Nice.
But yes, floppy 90s hair.
Floppy 90s hair. Yeah, it's a thing.
Oy.
Too bad this took place in the 2000s. So, you know.
I mean, not far into the 2000s.
No, but...
We all know that decade styles carry over.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Farrah hair thing started in the 70s, carried over into the early 80s.
Yep.
You don't really get all the crimping and stuff and probably until the mid-80s. I'm not sure when leg warmers came on the scene. That might have actually been late 70s.
No, the leg warmers was I believe like late 70s all the way through the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though we associate them with the 80s, like they cover
because they were more predominant
whereas
in the 80s.
Frosted Tip, mind you,
Frosted Tips was totally 90s.
And apparently there were a bunch of people who, when they got solid screenwriting jobs, just got Frosted Tips as like,
yeah.
And I heard someone compare it to getting like a French manicure, and I'm just like, no, not the same.
Yeah, no, not the same. Anyway,
That's a really weird version of treat yourself.
Yeah. Anyway,
Blue, how would you treat yourself?
How would you treat yourself? You would want lots of dog treats, yeah.
Lots of dentistics.
Yep.
Oh, I saw the eyebrows move.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we are at episode 218, which is Chick Flick. Yeah. It aired on April 20th, 2000. So, chick flick is a slang term for the film genre dealing mainly with love and romance, which is always targeted to a female audience. It can be specifically defined as a genre in which a woman is the protagonist.
Which would make Atomic Blonde a chick flick, and I am full in favor of that.
Yes.
Also, I've heard people argue that Atomic Blonde is a Bond movie.
Yeah. She is the
which
female
I am also
007.
in favor of, and I really need to talk to the guys at James Bonding and be like, hey, guys, you're covering Bond-like films, cover Atomic Blonde, please.
Yes. Yeah, it is definitely the female 007.
Oh my god, she's so badass.
Yeah, so...
Gotta actually watch that movie.
Now, the thing about chick flick is that most people don't enjoy it. Most feminists, at least, object to it because it's usually used like chick lit in a derogatory fashion.
Yes, as a term to denote fluffy or inconsequential content.
Yes. So I say we take back the chick flick. but that's just me. My favorite, though, is that the equivalent for the male audiences is a guy cry film.
How many exist in that genre?
Yeah, I have no idea. It is rarely used because it is rarely made, but I do think it's very interesting that there is a male equivalent, at least. Mm-hmm. Guy cry film.
Well, I mean, Mary Sue, Gary Stu, so...
Exactly.
But very few... Well, I will say this. Very few things that are Gary Stews get classified as a Gary Stew.
Yeah, there is that.
And very many things get classified as a Mary Sue that are not.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's get right into it, shall we?
Yeah, y'all go to the Wikipedia for that reference. I'm not explaining it.
Yeah, no. Look it up your damn self.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty goddamn ubiquitous.
Yeah. So, we immediately start out inside the manor. No exterior shot, no nothing, just immediately inside. Prue is on the couch. She is holding her camera and taking pictures of Piper, who's looking out the window and holding a mug that's supposed to have tea in it.
A very small mug. Not nearly enough tea.
No, never enough tea.
Never enough tea.
Prue is wearing a white spaghetti strap shirt with like a multi-layered beaded necklace. We can't see her legs at the moment because she is behind the couch. Well, technically we're behind the couch.
Yeah.
Whatever. Piper is in brown pants, a pink shirt, and a slightly lighter pink sweater. And she has on a tiny diamond necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Little diamond. They have a short exchange about Piper feeling guilty over dumping Dan, and Prue reminding her...
tea over Prue's head.
Yep, and Prue's reminding her that it was the best thing to do, because, you know, you're in love with Leo. And then we learn that Piper and Leo are having their first date as a quote-unquote normal couple, which is going to be dinner and a movie.
And I never understand that order. Why would you not go to the movie first and then have dinner and talk about it?
Because if you have dinner first, then you don't have to pay for snacks at the movie.
This is true, except no one knows. You can just sneak a bunch of shit in.
Well, there is that. There is that.
Just FYI, people, don't leave your garbage behind when you do that, because then the people
don't leave your garbage behind, period.
Well, yes, but don't throw it away in the movie theater, though.
Yeah, no.
Because management notices when there's something that isn't available there and might get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, no, management won't get in trouble.
No.
People below management will get in trouble.
Yes. Anyway, so Piper realizes that she needs to shower before her date, and she leaves the room. And as she goes, we cut to the other side of the couch, so we can now see that Prue is wearing pants that are very, very interesting. They're like shades of blues and purples in like a swirly geometric pattern. It was kind of hard to describe. It's like got swirls on it and squares on it, and
yeah,
it was weird, but they were kind of cool looking. Like
I honestly don't remember them.
They were just interesting enough, you know?
Yeah, I watched this episode in a really interesting set because I watched the first like 15 minutes last week. I think. Maybe a week before. Whenever we did our last episode. And then I watched the rest of it this morning. So I really don't remember the pants.
Well, there you go. And they were only on screen for like a moment. So.
Yeah.
So as Piper leaves, Phoebe enters the house. And we have a cute sister moment where they say hello and goodbye to each other with the nickname Duty.
Yeah.
Which was something we have never heard before and I doubt we'll ever hear again.
Kind of sounded ad-libbed.
Yeah, but it was kind of adorable. It was like, hi, Duty, bye, Duty. Like, it was just very funny. It was cute. It was nice. Phoebe is in jeans with, like, big red flowers on the knees and, like, they go down to the ankles, with a red jacket over a white shirt, and a large messenger bag over her chest, and a purse on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. She's got 2 bags.
Yeah.
She's got, like, her school bag and her purse, basically.
Yeah, so you know she's in college.
That's how you know. Yeah.
Yep. Phoebe plops down on the big cushy armchair, and there's a quick scene where we learn that Phoebe has gone to see, against Prue's wishes, a scary movie called Kill It Before It Dies.
Which is the funniest fucking name.
I know! But apparently she's in love with the main character, Billy.
Because he is the perfect man whom she apparently fell for at the age of 12.
When she really wasn't supposed to see this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess she wanted to use this as research to figure out how to find the perfect man. And I guess Prue was mad that Phoebe went without her because they were all supposed to go together just for funsies.
I don't think so.
That's what it felt like to me.
I don't think so. I think it was just more of the, you weren't supposed to go because you weren't supposed to see that movie when you were 12 and you shouldn't be watching it now.
I got the feeling
big
like
sister thing.
I got the feeling like there was you weren't supposed to go without us.
I don't know. I didn't feel that, but it might have been. It was ubiquitous.
Well, I mean, she's
No,
like
that's not the
25
word.
now.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, I don't know.
whatever.
Doesn't really matter.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so the doorbell rings. Phoebe gets up to answer it, but we stay with Prue on the couch. She's looking through some photos, and we hear Phoebe ask if she can help whoever's at the door. Prue calls out, who is it? And then Phoebe goes flying through the foyer. Yeah. She, flings through, hits the floor. She screams, and Prue comes running over as a man in all black, including gloves and a long coat, walks in calling her a miserable witch, which I thought was kind of funny. He also has a goatee and a ponytail.
That's how you know he's a demon.
There you go.
And FYI, ponytail and goatee are strawberry blonde.
Yeah.
It was a lovely color.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And he has a scar.
Yeah, it was like a weird scar that you could easily mistake for a laugh line.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a predominant scar.
No, in fact, I forgot he even had it until later when...
It's mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Prue taunts him about not having anything nice to say, which I thought was kind of funny, before she uses her power to fling him into the grandfather clock.
Add 1 to the FAQ.
Indeed. So,
He has some kind of quip about, and then there were 2, and then he just, runs the fuck out of there.
yeah. So the furniture annihilation quotient is now up to 17 for the season and 22 for the series. So that's
Spoiler
not
alert.
too bad.
It's gonna go up before the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
This is a really good episode for my FAQ.
Yeah, it is. This episode is the reason we added the FAQ in the beginning.
I don't know that it is, because this was not the only episode I had in mind when thinking of the FAQ.
No, but it's a definite good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, I think... No, you know what? Wasn't the first episode that we had the FAQ the one with the dude who's sensitive about his sword? Because I distinctly remember, one of those decorative shelves.
I
getting
honestly
fucking
don't remember.
smashed.
We
Your
know
memory
my
sucks.
memory sucks. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Doesn't matter. So, yeah, he says, and then there were 2, and then he runs outside. Prue goes and helps Phoebe up, and then they both go running out after the demon, and Prue grabs some article of white clothing off of the hall table and closes the front door on her way out, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it's at this exact moment that Piper comes down the stairs wearing a pink robe, asking if anyone took her loofah.
Yeah, and she, notices the mess on the floor, and then we cut away. But, so...
Good comedy moment, I gotta say.
I had to look up loofah
This...
because I am weird.
Yeah.
And I look up shit that I'm just like, what don't I know about this thing? So a loofah, normally spelled Loofah, is actually spelled Luffa.
Mm-hmm.
Loofah. It is a genus of tropical and subtropical vines in the cucumber family.
Cucurbitaceae. Well, no, let me try that again. Cucurbitaceae? Cucurbitaceae? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That one's difficult.
Yeah. Nice to know you can't do everything.
Cucurbitaceae?
Yeah, I have no idea. Not even going to try. Anyway, so the non-technical usage word of loofah. It means...
Acutangula. Nice.
Yes. It is the fruit of 2 species.
L. aegyptiaca and L. acutangula.
There you go. The fruit of these species is cultivated and eaten as a vegetable. Could you imagine eating a loofah? I can't picture that because we never see it in its non-dried form.
I can't imagine eating okra, and yet people do that.
There is that.
So
Very, very true.
Sure.
So, apparently the fruit must be harvested at a young stage of development to actually be edible.
Okay, that tracks.
Yeah, so it's very popular in China and Vietnam. And when the fruit is fully ripened, it's very fibrous. So that's when we can turn it into the scrubbing sponge that we normally know a loofah to be.
Yes.
So it's really, really interesting that in Paraguay, panels are made out of loofah combined with other vegetable matter and recycled plastic. And used to create furniture and construct houses.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Very eco-friendly.
Yeah.
I like it.
I just thought that was really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what else is fascinating? You can make a no electricity air conditioner out of a window, a board, and a bunch of plastic bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bernoulli principle.
Science!
Which is part of what helps planes fly.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. Links on the website as per usual because, whatever. Anyway, so we cut to Prue and Phoebe running down the street, and we can see that the item that Prue grabbed was an oversized white sweater that, just attaches at the boobs.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of the vest with no sleeves that Pig Dude was wearing, where it just connected, right there at the chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, Prue has a few outfits where that happens.
There is that. But it was just, that was my little flashback moment, was that. Because that's exactly the same spot where it was connected. Mm-hmm. So, we see our little bad guy run into a movie theater where the movie Kill It Before It Dies is playing. This is apparently the Revival Theater in town. Now, we don't see the girls enter through the front door, but immediately instead cut to them inside one of the showing rooms, or possibly the only showing room.
Mm-hmm. At any rate, it's almost empty except for one dude who's just sitting on the aisle eating popcorn and really enjoying this movie, apparently.
Yep. So this actor is Alex Ledd, L-E-D-D. He started acting in 1996. He hasn't done anything since 2014. And we're apparently going to see him again in season 6. But that's all I'm going to say. Keep away from spoilers.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what role he plays there, but okay. Anyway, Prue's really annoyed that they had to pay to get in. And I'm just like, honey, it's a movie theater.
Yeah.
The guy...
But, the demon dude didn't pay to get in. He just ran in. And I'm going, he's a fucking demon.
I'm probably going, these people aren't paid enough to deal with the really belligerent people, especially when it's a movie that's basically empty and you're getting almost no money from it regardless.
Yep.
So probably the dude ran past them and the guys were just like, I've seen him here before. Whatever.
Yep. Anyway, so the guy, our little popcorn guy, shushes them because this is his favorite part of the movie, which is also apparently Phoebe's favorite part of the movie.
And she starts to, spoil it for him. And Prue kind of just tells her to shut up.
Yeah. And then we see, the bad guy creeping through the front rows, trying to get away.
I wouldn't call that creeping. I would call that stage creeping.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a subtle creeping.
No, nothing about this man is subtle.
No,
except his
so
scar,
much.
Apparently.
There is that.
Yeah.
So Prue asks if she can come up with a spell, and Phoebe quickly does, even though she's I know nothing about this guy, but sure. And she comes up with this spell. Evil that has traveled near, I call on you to disappear. Elementals hear my call. Remove this creature from these walls.
Which sounds like 2 different spells smashed together.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. It is 2 different spells smashed together.
Yeah, we'll get there later.
After the credits.
Yeah.
Demon dude disappears in a puff of smoke, and Popcorn Guy's like, oh man, this is so cool.
Yeah. And Phoebe's just it's all part of the show, sir, which I just thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. And then, of course, she and Prue semi-break fourth wall and go, that seemed way too easy.
Yep.
Prue's like, oh, maybe we're just getting too tough for the bad guys. And they walk out.
Yeah.
Phoebe keeps trying to watch the movie, but Prue, covers her eyes and just walks her out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. No, okay, you're done watching the movie. Let's go. It was very funny. And on the screen, we see Billy, who we're assuming is Billy, because, they have mentioned Billy. And the girl that he's, walking with, they walk away off screen, and the demon comes into view. And the girls, of course, don't notice because they have completely, turned their backs and they're walking out. And Popcorn Guy seems slightly confused.
And Demon Dude does his best maniacal laugh.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that good of a maniacal laugh. It was like a mediocre maniacal laugh. But then we go to the opening credits. So, again, I watched this on Netflix. Did you watch the DVD?
No.
Okay. So, I watched it on Netflix because of timing. I just did not have time to watch it on the DVD, but luckily the thing is already up there. So, but let's start with Netflix. So the Netflix song after the opening credits is If I Look, I See You by a band called Little Spitfire. Now, I couldn't find out much about this band. They're UK-based. The lead singer is named Kirsten Blakely. And the only reason I know that is because I actually found the wiki for her mother and her sister, because they're both actresses.
Okay.
Her mother, Lynn, was on EastEnders. I think her sister Claudie was also on EastEnders, but I'm not positive on that. I think Claudie was
at least they're keeping it all in the family.
Yeah, I believe Claudie was in Pride and Prejudice thing that the BBC did. So I'll link to all that on the website because why not? So, like I said, I didn't watch on DVD, but according to the Wikia, the song is Bad Way by Nina Gordon. Now, I immediately knew the name Nina Gordon because I used to love the band Veruca Salt, which is actually a band that started in Chicago.
I'm sorry, Veruca Salt as in...
Willy Wonka? Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, that's what
funny.
they named it after. Yeah.
That's funny.
Nina Gordon co-founded the band with Louise Post in 1992, but she actually left the band in 1998 due to creative differences. Louise got to continue using the name Veruca Salt, which is why the band still became popular, because they had made an agreement that if either of them left the band, the other could continue without them and use the name. Mm-hmm. Nina was a solo artist until 2013, when they seemed to work out their differences and got the original band back together. Now, I haven't listened to them in ages, so I'm kind of sad that I wasn't able to watch on DVD to get to hear Nina's voice. It's a good band.
Okay.
I will have to play you some Veruca Salt later, because it's a good band. Anyway, so Nina is married to Jeff Russo, who is the co-founder of the band Tonic, and they had the hit song If You Could Only See.
Okay. Which
is why most people know the band Tonic. So I'll link to him too, just because. The song was actually about his co-founder, Emerson something. I can't remember Emerson's last name because I didn't write it down. It was him. He was in a relationship with an older woman and his mother didn't approve. And he was talking on the phone with his mother. And he said the line of, you know, if you could only see the way she loves me, maybe you would understand. Mm-hmm. And he goes, and 5 minutes later I had a song written down. I was like, well, shit, all right.
Yeah.
So I love that song too, because it's a very nice song. Hi, Boo. We see that Dan and Daryl are both in the credits, so we get to have both of them this episode. Yay
Double
for
D.
Daryl. Yeah. So, our after the credits shots, we get a night shot of cars going across the Oakland Bay Bridge that pans over to the buildings, and then a shot of a restaurant called El Portal. Now, of course, I had to check. Yeah, I had to check where that is. There is one in Pasadena, which is, 6 hours away from San Francisco. But there's also one in San Leandro, which is only about 30 minutes away. But the one in San Leandro is like a little shack on the side of the road, while this is in the corner of a large building. So I was assuming that it was the one in Pasadena, right? But that one's a building all on its own. So I'm not sure where this picture was taken.
Well, I mean, now the one in Pasadena is a building on its own. Maybe it moved.
True.
Or maybe the other one moved.
True. That could be. Very true.
Hi, Blue.
Hi, Blue. Can I help you? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for kisses.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
We then get a night shot of the Ghirardelli building, which is actually really pretty. Like, I love the sign as it's lit up just in the darkness. All you just see is the word Ghirardelli.
And that like clock tower next to it.
Yeah, that has like weird like Christmas lights on it. It's very funny. And then a shot of Chinatown, and then a shaky shot driving past a bunch of buildings. Could not tell you what was actually shown because it was so shaky it gave me nausea, and I had to pause. It was bad. And then we get another night shot of cars on the Oakland Bay Bridge again. Then we get a final shot of a bridge in the background of buildings before ending on a night shot of the manor.
Mm-hmm. We head inside to see all the girls cleaning up the mess very ineffectually. They're just kind of poking at it with brooms.
Yeah, they're just kind of sweeping it up. Now,
well, I wouldn't call what they're doing sweeping. I would call it pushing it around.
Yeah.
Not much was happening. But Phoebe has taken off her jacket. We can see that she's got the white shirt that she's got on is long sleeve and scoop necked in both the front and back, much lower in the back.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a nice looking shirt. It was kind of cute.
It worked for her.
Yeah. Prue still has her sweater on, and Piper is still in her robe. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how long this took, why Piper didn't, get ready. Or even,
I assume this is...
Because it had to have taken a little while, because they had to go all the way to the theater, get through that entire exchange, and then come back. So it had to have taken at least 10 minutes.
Oh, at least. Who knows how far this supposed revival theater is from their house.
Mm-hmm. So, you'd think that Piper would have either started to clean up or possibly taken her shower, gotten dressed, something. Mm-hmm. Or maybe tried to call her sisters. Just saying, there's a whole lot of stuff that happened or I should say that didn't happen, that probably should have happened. But whatever. So, they're talking about the demon, and Phoebe realizes that he must have followed her home from the movies. Prue then asks how she came up with the spell to vanquish him.
And Phoebe confirms the fact that we suspected before, which is that she combined two spells. One that they used for something called a bunyip, and something that was a demon with a horn coming out of his forehead.
Yeah, so we've actually...
some kind of demonic unicorn.
Yeah,
shit.
so we've actually mentioned the bunyip before in episode 202. So I won't bother tangenting on what a bunyip is. Just go back and listen to that. But it is nice to see them talking about demons and stuff that we didn't get to see. It makes it, like, more real that we're not just coming in and this is all that's happened to them.
Yeah.
Like, other things have happened. But I also think it's interesting that they chose the bunyip as one of the things that they weren't going to actually show on screen, but they mention it after we've seen the page in the Book of Shadows for the bunyip.
Maybe the writers decided to actually have continuity for once.
Maybe. Possibly. I doubt it, but, you know.
Well, we know it's rare.
It is rare. It is very, very rare.
But anyway.
Anyway, so Prue picks up the answering machine, sees that there's a message, and she plays it, and we hear the automatic voice say that the message was left at 8:23 p.m.
And this kicks Piper into high gear because she realizes she's super, super late.
Yeah.
So she kind of just shoves the broom at Prue, and she's like, I'll help when I get back.
Yeah. So her sisters, of course, yell at her to go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
It was cute. But what I thought was very funny is you could kind of hear in the message that somebody was saying something about
Being at a bar.
Yeah, being at a bar.
And hey, if you want to meet us. I assumed it was for, like, Phoebe.
Yeah. I don't remember.
It was a woman.
You had blue hair on your nose. So then we cut over to a restaurant where Leo is sitting at a table looking very bored.
He is, like, swinging a tiny fork or something in his fingers.
Yeah, it was funny. He's in a lovely looking suit with a blue shirt and a blue tie. It was very nice. It's the most, like, polished and cleaned up we've seen him.
Yes, and Piper is kind of power walking up to the table.
Yeah, a little bit. She's in a blue dress with flowers at the bust and at the hem, bottom hem, with, like, a black shrug. She has this hairdo that is pulled up into this, like, elaborate updo that took way too long if she was already late.
And if you think the hair took way too long, take a look at her eye makeup, because that is a lot of eyeliner.
Yeah.
Like, she did full face of makeup.
Yeah. But, like, I know somebody who can do their full face of makeup in, like, 20 minutes, and it still looks amazing.
Yes, but that's still 20 minutes she didn't have.
Well, yeah, but, like, that hair had to have taken at least half an hour.
Maybe. I wasn't really paying attention to the hair. I was just staring at the eyeliner.
Yeah. Well, I noticed the hair because it takes me, like, 5 minutes to do a good braid on my hair.
Well, you're weird.
Yeah, we've established that.
I know.
But anyway, so she, of course, apologizes for being late, and then Leo, being Leo, realizes that something is wrong. She tells him about the demon who, like, burst into the house before she stops herself because apparently she wanted to keep the night magic-free, even though Leo's cool with talking about it. So they decide to start over, and they, like, lean over the table and they kiss, and then a waiter comes over with some food item in glasses, and it looked like ice cream.
It was not.
It was definitely not. But
I thought it was probably, like, some kind of seafood salad starter.
I don't know, but, like...
Because, I mean... salt.
Well, yeah.
I figured it was some kind of appetizer thingy. Leo excuses. He's like, oh yeah, I got the munchies. I'm just like, how much were you smoking?
Yeah, exactly. It made me laugh when he says the phrase, he got the munchies. I was like, really? That's a pot smoker thing to say.
Yeah, it really is. They sit back down to tuck in, and Piper realizes there's no salt on the table. And
which immediately goes, okay, then it's not ice cream because who put salt on ice cream? So I thought maybe it was like mashed potatoes or something. Like,
the consistency did not look like mashed potatoes to me because I could see, like, different colors in there. It looked like some kind of seafood salad. Okay. And honestly, that would be very early aughts to put it in that kind of a glass.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but
especially for props to be like, how do we make this look fancy?
Yeah. Anyway, so Piper asks Leo to ask the table behind them for salt,
which he does, and hello, Dan.
Yeah, he's apparently on a date of his own. He's also wearing a leather jacket, which is just weird. Don't you normally take off a jacket, like when you go inside, when you sit down to eat? Like,
I mean, Leo didn't take off his suit.
But Leo in a suit jacket is different than Dan in a leather jacket. Like, a leather jacket is an outside jacket, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Whatever.
How are you doing yourself, puppy?
He's being adorable. So... There are some awkward hellos, and then Dan introduces his date, Amelia. She's a pretty blonde, wearing a yellow dress and a necklace that I swear I owned.
Uh-huh. And Piper's reaction to hearing this woman's name, for some odd reason, is Amelia, as in someone I just work with, Amelia. And Amelia does this great look where she kind of like tosses her head back and does this aggrieved smile. And I'm like, yep, that's the correct reaction to that.
Yep, absolutely. So Amelia gets a name but no lines and no IMDb credit, so I can tell you nothing about her. Sorry, actress, you get nothing from me. So Dan hands Leo the salt. Leo hands it to Piper and quips that at least he isn't pining after her, pining away. So I love the definition of the phrase pining away. It means to suffer with longing. It's just poetic. Yeah. It's nice. Anyway, Piper aggressively salts her food.
And then we hear and then see an accordion player who is a lovely old, possibly Italian man, playing fairly close to them. And Piper gets completely fed up with everything in the whole restaurant at that point. She freezes all of it. And then just kind of talks to the air or herself or whatever. And she's like, is this some kind of test? And then, just unfreezes Leo.
She admits that she wanted everything to be normal, but there's only so much a girl can take.
So she's like, let's take this moment to, toast to our first real date. And right before they clink glasses, we get that white letter call noise, the little tinkly bells.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because Piper's like, what's happening?
What are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on?
What's going on? Yeah. But she realizes that if she were dating a doctor, he'd also be called away randomly. So we get a sweet little moment where she says that she wanted the night to be perfect, and Leo says that it was perfect because he was with her.
And then comes a moment that I have desperately wanted for many, many episodes, which is the knowledge that randomly disappearing does not look good.
Right.
So as Leo starts to orb out, Piper's like, whoa, hang on a sec. You gotta walk out the front door, dude. I cannot have a disappearing dude.
Yeah, can we at least have a normal exit, please? And he's like, okay, fine. So
and then
she
unfreezes
the restaurant, and he stands up, kisses her, and then leaves. And, we see Dan kind of, turn and, glance at Piper.
And Piper
she
just
immediately calls out for the
check.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. And this entire exchange, from beginning to end, at least from Dan's perspective, took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Piper shows up, gets some salt, and then leaves. It was just funny. So then we go over to 415 Magazine, which we only know that's where we are because we see Prue and Mr. Corso walking down the corridor. He is in black pants and a zip-up collared shirt that's mostly white with black shoulders.
Yep.
It was an interesting top.
Yep. And it was that kind of 90s style of knitwear.
Yeah, it was kind of ribbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That weird thick ribbed sort of dealio.
Yeah, the black bits on the shoulders were thicker ribbed than the white bit at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an odd choice. But, a lot of things in this show are odd choices. Prue is wearing black pants, a red top with a small keyhole at the neck, and pink palm trees all over it. Topped by a red sweater jacket thing. And she has her camera bag over her shoulder and is, for some reason, eating celery.
Yeah, she's just munching on a stick of celery while listening to Mr. Corso on this phone call.
Yeah, it was very, very
just
weird.
Blissfully chomping down.
Yeah, it was an odd choice, and I don't understand it. She was holding, a little, plastic baggie that had, more celery in it. And she was, chomping down on the celery. It was very, very weird. So he's talking on his cell phone about a fight at a movie theater. Prue then asks him if he's talking about the Revival Theater in town, that the one they were just at the night before, which he was not. And he's like, is there something you know that I don't? And she goes, not about this.
Probably.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. And then he tells her that she's going to be working with a staff writer. And
because someone named Finley
Yeah.
is running late, and Prue flips a shit.
Yeah.
Because apparently Finley Beck is her hero. He's the reason she started doing photography in the first place. And then she starts, complaining about shit they left out of his autobiography.
Yeah, it's
or
really...
his biography,
His biography, yeah. It was very, very funny because she asked Mr. Corso if he's ever met Finley. He says he hasn't, but he knows by reputation about him. And so she puts down her camera bag and grabs Finley Beck's biography, which is a la convenience just sitting there on a table. And she starts waxing poetic about him.
And she's just gotten to the point where she's talking about how open and warm and generous he is.
Yeah.
And we hear a dude saying something crass and walking in the door. And it was at this point where I'm like, hang on, is this the old Buckland set?
It might have been.
It looked like Prue's office set, just redressed.
Yeah, it might have been. So the door bursts open, and a man wearing a white t-shirt under a yellow button-down shirt tucked into khaki pants with a brown belt and a brown jacket comes into frame.
And because we've seen this face on the book Prue had been holding, we know this is Finley Beck.
Indeed. So let me tell you about him before we go on. The actor is Mark Lindsay Chapman. He was born in London in 1954. He started acting in 1983, and he is still going strong. He's been in a bunch of stuff, like the 80s classics of Dallas and Falcon Crest, as well as 20 episodes of Days of Our Lives. You know. But I remember him best from the miniseries, and by miniseries, it was all of 2 episodes, so I wouldn't call it a miniseries, but whatever, that's what they called it back in the day, for The Langoliers. It is my favorite Stephen King story. And even though the miniseries wasn't that great, it was the first time that I was able to see it brought to life as opposed to just reading the story.
Cool, yeah.
The reading the story is much, much better than watching it. But if you can't read the story, at least watch it. So somebody has put it up on YouTube. So I will totally link to that on the website. Because if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It has like Bronson Pinchot. It has no, not Dean Thomas. Dean something.
Kane?
No.
Martin?
No. From Quantum Leap.
Winchester?
No. I can't think of it now. My brain has stopped. I didn't write it in my notes.
Bartolini?
Who?
I don't know. I'm just giving you last names.
No. Dean Stockwell. That's it. It was Bronson Pinchot and Dean Stockwell.
And Tom Holland?
Yes.
Like, is that the Tom Holland I'm thinking of?
No.
No. Okay. That would have been funny, though.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's a good time, and if you want to see Bronson Pinchot, like, lose his fucking mind in a gloriously beautiful way, he's so good. Anyway, I could tangent about the Langoliers for hours, so let's get back to the show before I do that.
Uh-huh.
Finley Beck yells at somebody in the hall before coming in and immediately being rude to Prue, but he doesn't get to use his British accent, which I guess is just as well. He's trying to put on this, like, American...
Yeah, he's trying to sound like an asshole, and naturally you use an American accent for that.
Yeah. So he gets annoyed that Prue has the audacity to even think about shooting him in digital, and then tells her to be useful and get him some tea, which I did think was kind of funny, because he's not supposed to be British.
Yeah, and this is just a really great example of never meet your heroes.
Yeah, I will tangent on that toward the end. I definitely mentioned that. So Prue looks a little bit crestfallen, and then we cut over to the kitchen at the manor where Piper is making some toast.
Angrily.
Yeah. She is now in black pants and a loose-fitting, long-sleeve, ivory-colored shirt. Mm-hmm. And Phoebe walks in.
And her hair is just, like, lovely and loose.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. Phoebe walks in the back door. She is in light blue jeans that have red pockets and a long-sleeve pink sweater with a slightly poofy collar.
I think it was supposed to be furry, too.
It might have been.
It was like fake fur.
Yeah. Over a shirt that bears the logo for the Miami High Mermaids. I looked it up. It's not a real thing.
Nah.
But it did look like, because the shirt says Miami High on the top and mermaids underneath, but the logo in the middle looked like a unicorn, not a mermaid.
Well, as long as you're going imaginary,
yeah,
why not mix it up?
Yeah. It was kind of funny. Like, I might have misinterpreted because she did have her bag over top of that, but it looked like a unicorn, not a mermaid. But
yeah,
whatever. Piper asked how school was, and Phoebe said that she had lunch with a guy from her lab
so you know she's in college.
Yeah, who was a total melatonin boy, and that she's going to keep his number in case she has trouble sleeping. So melatonin, it's a hormone in the brain that regulates your sleep and wakefulness. It's usually used to treat insomnia, but the scientific evidence of its usefulness is insignificant at this point. It works for me, at least, most of the time.
I believe what I've read has said that it helps you get to sleep, but it doesn't really help if you have mid-phase sleep issues, which I tend to have, partially because of this guy, and partially because I'll just, like, wake up randomly in the middle of the night. And I have, like, okay, so I don't really like gummies all that much, but I have melatonin gummies, and I got the strongest dosage per gummy I could find, which is only, like, 5 milligrams.
Yep.
And I found 3 of those usually does me.
Yeah.
Recommendation is 2.
Yep. So I take melatonin every night before I go to sleep. You gotta give it about 20 minutes to work into your system. But I take the quick release.
Right.
Which is the best thing on the planet. And it is 5 milligram pills. Depending on how I'm feeling, I will take anywhere from 1 pill to 5. So,
Yeah.
If I need to fall asleep and, like, get a good night, like, full, deep sleep, I will take 5. So that's, 25 milligrams of melatonin. Which is not the recommended dose. The recommended dose is 10.
Yeah.
So it all depends on your brain chemistry. It all depends on your own specific form of crazy, if you will.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know redheads specifically have trouble when it comes to anesthetization. Mm-hmm. Like lidocaine is famously ineffective in regular doses for redheads. So when I had to get my finger sewn up, they gave me like 2 shots and then came back and I'm like, nope, I'm still feeling everything. So they gave me another 2 and I'm just like, I don't like this. But it worked.
Yep. It's definitely an interesting thing to have to deal with. But as long as you know your own body enough, then you're usually all right. Anyway, Phoebe says that while trying not to fall asleep talking to this guy, she kept thinking about the night before. Piper, of course, thinks she's talking about the demon.
But Phoebe is actually talking about Billy from the movie. Yeah, and she really wants to know why they can't get a guy that perfect to exist in her reality.
And then Leo orbs into the room. He is wearing a white ribbed V-neck shirt under a dark gray jacket with black shoulders. It's kind of nice.
And it was really cute because he orbed in right in front of the fridge next to Phoebe and then walked over.
Yeah, like he orbed in behind her. It was kind of funny. And she's like, I'm talking about perfect guys that don't exist. And then yours happens to orb in.
Yeah.
So Piper, of course, says that she found one of the good guys. And then she and Leo kiss.
And then he breaks the mood and says, actually, I'm here to talk about bad guys.
Yeah. So we learn that he was called away to find out that the demon they fought is the demon of illusion, who uses magic to create violence in society. And I love this. Leo says the demon is here to make San Francisco his treat, which only makes sense if you know the commercials, because that is the catchphrase for the Rice-A-Roni thing, which reminds me that we haven't seen a streetcar in a while.
Oh, sad face.
Sad face. Leo then describes the guy that they think they vanquished, which makes them realize that they didn't actually vanquish him. So Phoebe tells Piper to call Prue while she checks the Book of Shadows. And this is where Leo mentions the scar on his face. And Phoebe's like, and a goatee? Yeah, we got rid of him.
Yeah.
It's like, but you didn't.
Nope.
So then we get a quick shot of the marquee at the theater with the kill it before it dies. And then the girls walk in, and we can see that Piper has added a white hoodie to her outfit.
And it makes her look unexpectedly frumpy. Like, the sweater itself was fine, like baggy, but, it looked good.
Yeah, the sweater by itself looked comfy.
Yes.
And then she adds this white hoodie, and you're just like, well, now you look like a dowdy, you shouldn't leave the house. Kind of, you know what I mean?
That's what I wear on weekends.
It was not a good look with the hoodie. Not so much. Piper freezes the entire audience, and we see that the demon is in the movie.
We see this because, for some reason, the film itself did not freeze.
Right.
Granted, it is in a different room, and we have somewhat established that Piper can only do one room at a time.
At least at this point, yeah. So, let me tell you about him now that
floor plans work really well for her.
Yes. So let me tell you about him now that we know who he is. Our demon of illusion is played by Robin Atkin Downes. He was born in 1976 in London, and he actually gets to use his accent in this. His first acting gig was in 1990, but his next was in 1997. So he took a bit of a break there. He was actually in an episode of Buffy,
Reptile Boy.
Yep. Season 2, episode 5. Mm-hmm. And after that, he had a couple of episodes on a show called Babylon 5, which is a show that I used to watch with my dad.
Man, yeah.
I missed that show. That was a show that, like, is the best in the sci-fi. It was written out from beginning to end before they shot anything. They knew exactly where they were going and given enough time to do it. Mm-hmm. It was great. He was also on an episode of Beverly Hills 90210, so we know that he already knew Shannon. And he was on an episode of Angel, which also happened to be season 2, episode 18 of that show. So it's kind of funny. That was an episode called Dead End. I don't remember
that, yeah.
Don't worry about it. He's mostly been doing voice work, but he did have an acting role in the 2016 Suicide Squad movie.
Which neither of us have seen.
No, I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it? Okay.
I've seen it. I wholeheartedly enjoyed it.
I have not seen it. Well, I've seen it without sound parts of it playing on a plane.
Interesting.
Yeah, and because I don't have headphones with a jack, I couldn't, like, go into the thing. So I was just like, well, I can't watch any of the movies on here.
Interesting. Back to the show. So the demon says that he was just leaving, and Prue tries to use her power on him, but it doesn't work, which kind of freaks her out a little. Piper then tries to freeze him, but that doesn't work either. And he says it's because he's in the world of illusion while they're in reality, and their powers can't cross between the two.
And then Billy comes on screen.
Yeah, so let me tell you.
Looking all adorable and Letterman.
Yeah, so let me tell you about him really quickly. Billy is played by Chris Payne Gilbert.
That's Payne with a Y.
Indeed. He started acting in 1998, and he is still going strong. He was also on Beverly Hills 90210. So, again, he knew Shannon. And he has been in a lot of single episodes of shows. He was in 2 episodes of Gilmore Girls, though. Mm-hmm. In season 7, he was in episode 5 and episode 8, in case you watch that and care. Back to the show. Billy calls out for Sally Mae
and
before
then he notices the demon.
Yeah.
And he starts to say something quaint and 50s to the demon, who tells him to shut up.
And Phoebe, of course, yells out, "Hey!" which makes Billy notice her for the first time.
And, oh gosh.
And she sees him notice her, and they exchange like a quick little hi back and forth, and then Prue tries to bring her back to reality, saying that they need to kick the demon's ass, and we see Phoebe, like, smiling and winking at Billy.
And twisting her shoulders at Billy.
Yeah.
And the demon's like, oh, how are you gonna hurt me? Are you just gonna flirt me to death like your tardy little sister?
And Billy, ever the gentleman, tells him to watch his language. And so the demon asks if the word sister is the one that bothered him, and asks if bitch would be a better word to use.
And this is the point where Billy jumps the guy, and they both come, like, tumbling out of the screen.
Yep, and they roll around on the floor inside the theater, and then Prue uses her power, and the demon is thrown through the air because he's now in their world.
And Billy stands up when we realize that it's kind of Pleasantville because he's still in black and white, whereas everything else is in color.
Yeah, thanks to some bad CG green screen.
It's not so bad in this moment. It gets worse later.
Yeah, but it'll
get worse before it gets better.
Yes. The reason I say it was bad was because he looked like he was flickering. And I understood
he looked
that
like
it
was still film quality and not like
people quality. Yeah. So, like, I understand the reasoning for it, but it did not look good. But, so the demon is momentarily confused by the fact that Billy is off the screen before he has a little moment of realization, thanks Billy for the inspiration, and then runs out of the theater. And we see Phoebe and Billy being flirty again, and then we go to commercial break, because that's a thing you do. When we come back from commercial break, we get no exterior shot. We see Prue, Piper, Phoebe, Leo, and Billy all in the attic of the manor.
And they're all kind of, like, around a table.
Yeah. Prue and Piper have taken off their sweaters, but Phoebe is still wearing hers.
Prue sets down the Book of Shadows on said table, and they all sit down.
Yeah.
Billy's like, hey, can someone explain what my part is?
Yeah. Piper then quips that Phoebe gets to tell her playdate what's what, and Phoebe quips that he would have blended in so nicely if they had left him at the theater, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like, oh yeah, because black and white dude is totally gonna blend in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she starts to explain to Billy that he's not in a movie, and then kind of, like, loses the ability to describe what exactly is going on. She's like, I haven't figured that out yet. And then turns back to the table.
Yeah, so Billy kind of looks at Leo, and Leo explains that the girls are the good guys, And then they all try to figure out what the demon wants. So Billy starts to explain what the demon does when he's in the movies, but then
he has a moment and he stops and he's like, "Wait, where's the music?"
Yeah, and Phoebe questions him like, "What music?" And he says,
"Well, this is the part in the second act where there's usually music to talk over to build suspense and hide the exposition."
Don't you hate exposition?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a lovely, like, non-fourth wall breaking fourth wall break.
It was adorably meta.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So then we learn that the demon does something to the audience during the movie so that when they leave, they're angry.
And violent.
Yeah. Phoebe realizes that she didn't recognize our demon dude from the movie theater, but from the movie itself. And they realize that he's using horror movies because people watching them are usually already open to violence because you're going to see a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Prue does something that none of us can do in this day and age, which is go grab a paper to find out what theaters are playing what movies.
Yeah, it gave me a little pang of nostalgia because now we go online to find our movie times. But back in the day, we had to look in the newspaper.
Oh my goodness. And I remember TV Guide.
Yes, I get the TV Guide.
I
don't actually use
that was
the
actually
TV Guide.
wonderfully easy to navigate. Mm-hmm. And I find it very difficult to navigate, like, the online TV guides and shit now. Like, you have to know what time something's playing, and for some reason, Googling that is more difficult.
You're just weird.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I actually get the TV Guide because of Facebook. I had to get...
Weird.
Well, I had to get something in my name for Facebook to let me back onto Facebook because somebody said my name was illegal or something stupid.
Oh, right, I remember
I was
that.
off Facebook for like 6 months. But that's neither here nor there.
Piper says that she and Leo will go with Prue to the theaters, and Phoebe says that she'll call Daryl and let him know what's going on so he can, like, have an ear to the wind.
Yeah, give him a little heads up. And then Prue tells Phoebe that she should add some Technicolor to Billy, which I thought was kind of funny.
Very
so
adorable.
I'm not going to tangent because it's not really all that interesting. But Technicolor started in 1916. It was mostly used from 1922 to 1952, with the most widely known uses being in the 1939 movies The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. It was also used in animated movies like 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and 1940's Fantasia.
And if I recall correctly, Technicolor is
It's like a dual process.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. So, like, the film itself wouldn't be in color. It would be added later, right? Okay. Whereas nowadays, we have film that can actually register color. So this was just kind of like you see old colorized photos, except just, for film.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a fascinating process if you like the process of things, but...
It's no daguerreotype.
Yes. Anyway.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. That film nerd references.
Yeah. So we cut to the foyer where we see a cell phone on a table, like a little vase of flowers. And Leo, Piper, and Prue are walking down the stairs as the phone rings, and Prue, like, runs to grab it as Piper goes to put her white hoodie back on. Finley Beck is on the phone. Prue is, of course, confused as to how he got that number.
He reminds her that he has photo approval, and he wants to go over the photos now!
Yeah, so we have a funny little moment between Prue and Piper as Piper is trying to help Prue get her jacket thing back on,
but
and
Prue's,
like
turning
she's
the wrong
spinning
way
in circles. It was hilarious.
And we can see the outline of someone on the other side of the front door.
Yeah.
And gee, I wonder who it is.
Yeah, because they don't notice him yet. So Prue, of course, tells Finley that she's not home at the moment, but can meet him at the magazine later. And he's like, that's not a good time for me.
So she's like, well, when would be better?
And he says, now.
And it's at this point that Prue can hear him, not just on the phone, but
through
behind her. Through the door.
Yeah, so we can see that he's standing outside the door, and they all kind of, like, stand still, and Prue does, like, the little shh.
Yeah, they're about to do one of the sneaky things.
Yeah, but he's like, I can see you moving, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's fucking glass on your doors, dude. Like, of course he can see you. So Prue does the lovely thing of, like, where she looks at her phone and, like, tries to swear at the phone before she hangs it up. And she opens the door, and he immediately, without even, like, another word, walks into the house and asks where the dark room is. And Piper and Leo leave to go to the theater without Prue, saying they'll call her later. And Finley has walked off screen and calls out that he's wandering through their house, which I thought was kind of funny. So if you don't know what a darkroom is, it's a workshop that is used by photographers to develop film and pictures and stuff. And everything gets done under a red light because that doesn't screw up black and white film. Mm-hmm. So if you're using black and white, it's done under a red light. If you're doing color, you need complete darkness until the prints are actually properly fixed.
I remember there was a dark room at my high school, and it had, like, a weird revolving door set up.
Yes, cool. Oh my god, I love the revolving door thing.
I never went in there.
I took a photography class in college. It was very, very interesting because I took a black and white photography class where we had to go to the Botanic Gardens and take pictures of colored flowers so we could tell, like, the difference in the grayscales.
I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned it before. Thank you, Blue.
This was the same photography class where you took blurry photos of things because things always look blurry to you.
Yeah.
And then that ended up being something your teacher actually liked.
Yeah. It was an interesting thing. My favorite picture that I ever took, though, in that class, it was like the best picture I took, and I wish I knew where it was, because I think I still had that picture. I'd taken a picture of somebody's hands that had henna on them. The henna was, like, the henna in the hands were super sharp. Mm-hmm. And everything else was a blur.
Yeah.
And, like, it was the best picture I took. And it was just in black and white, whatever. But it came out so pretty.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I believe it.
So, it's all a bit complex, but it is quite interesting to learn about it. So, of course, I will link to Darkroom as per usual. So, we then cut to an exterior shot of Pacific Theaters. And it's theaters with an R-E. Which, my personal thing is, if it's spelled with an R-E, that means you're seeing plays. If it's spelled with an E-R, it means you're seeing movies.
I always learned that R-E was the location and E-R was the genre.
Yeah, that works too.
So, by that standard, this works.
Yeah. So, I looked it up because, of course I did. It was actually quite easy to find.
Blue, are you doing sexy leg?
Yes. Yep.
The leg is over here.
There are 6 locations for Pacific Theaters.
Where are they? Are they all in LA?
Yeah, they are all in or around LA, California.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
We head inside and there's a horror movie showing. The first shot we get is a woman's legs in heels just running down a really wet alley. And it's some horror movie where a stereotypically dumb blonde gets killed by a guy with an axe.
Yep.
And then the demon, like, walks on into frame.
Yep. And he asks our little axe murderer dude if he wants to go to a place where the movie never ends.
It sounded, like, really infomercially.
A little bit.
He's like, hey, would you like to be able to do this forever?
Yeah. The audience, of course, then starts to, like, murmur about what's going on. And the demon tells them to simmer down.
And then he sticks his hand, like, out of the screen.
Yeah, and his hand... When he sticks his hand out of the screen, his hand is in black and white.
Yeah, as is the dust.
Yeah, it was a very weird...
There's this CG dust.
Because this movie is in color.
Yeah.
But he sticks his hand out of the screen and his hand was black and white. It was very weird.
Yeah, it was funky.
So he sends this, like, floating dusty thing over the audience, and they all kind of go quiet and still. They don't exactly freeze, but they just kind of, like, slow to an almost crawl.
Yeah, they simmer down, in fact.
Indeed. So he then goes back to the axe guy and asks basically the question again. And the axe guy just nods. He doesn't say anything. He just kind of nods to agree. And the demon says that there's, of course, a catch. Where the catch is that he has to kill 3 girls.
Some choice little morsels, he calls them.
Yeah. And he can kill anyone he wants along the way. As long as he kills those 3 girls. And then he sends the axe murderer out of the screen... And the demon turns his attention back to the audience. And he says something to them, and then they all start fighting each other over nonsense, like, you know, cell phones and popcorn and...
And did you really look at that girl? Like, kind of deal?
Yeah. So, since there's not a whole lot to tell, I will tell you about our axe murderer. The actor is J.P. Romano. He's actually really a stunt guy, but he's had a few acting gigs. He started acting and doing stunts in 1985... And his last acting gig was in 2015, but he is still a stuntman. So there's that. Not a whole lot else to tell. Back in the manor attic, Phoebe is putting makeup on Billy.
And everything except the middle of his forehead is now in color.
Yeah.
And this does not it looks really fake.
Well, okay,
The
so
gray,
here's
at least, looks really fake.
So here's the thing, right? So he has this patch of gray on his forehead that looks more silver than gray, but whatever. And Phoebe has a
makeup triangle.
Yeah, makeup triangle. Thank you.
A foam triangle.
Yeah,
for makeup.
Yeah,
like those stereotypes. Like before we had beauty blenders, this was the thing.
Right, and now most people use it for dabbing on their nail polish.
Yeah.
Gotta dab that, dab.
Mm-hmm.
Dab. Sorry.
Yeah. How else do you get the fun fuzzy effects?
Yeah.
For nail polish.
Simply illogical. It's just in my brain. Dab. That's how you get all of the glitter on your nails. So she's putting this makeup. It's got like this like base. She's basically using foundation, and she's dabbing his forehead.
And every time it cut, like, it'll cut to her face and then cut back, and more of the silver thing will be covered.
Right.
Now, it looks like now, granted, like, when it's full on him, you can tell that the, like, grayscale is CGI'd, but it looks like they put makeup underneath.
No, see, here's the thing. It looks like she is actually putting this foundation on his forehead because his forehead is shiny even though the rest of his face isn't.
Yeah.
So it looks like she's actually dabbing his face with this makeup.
But I think they added in the full gray. I don't think they could quite get all of his natural skin tone completely covered.
Yeah.
It looks like they put a thin layer of some kind of white or gray makeup on his forehead and then started partially covering that with actual foundation, and maybe she is dabbing on, maybe she's not. I think they enhanced it later.
Yeah, it was just
more
weird.
Black and white in the center. At any rate,
it was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, whatever. Phoebe is, of course, gushing about the movie while finishing up this makeup job. And after a bit of a little chat, he calls her swell, which is just adorable.
Sweet.
Now, it made me laugh, though, because that means that this movie had to have been at least in, like, the 50s, which makes me wonder why it was in black and white. Because they had color.
They did, but they didn't always use it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It really was expensive. I mean, think about, like, TV.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Thank you, Blue. But yeah,
because, like, Doctor Who in the 60s was at first in black and white.
True.
Granted, that was a definite budgetary issue.
Yes.
But, I mean, their outfits were 50s enough, so.
Yeah, it was absolute, like, 50s-esque stuff. So, he tells her that he didn't know anything but the lines from the movie until the demon came in and gave him options to, you know, rewrite his lines, kind of thing.
And Phoebe's like, well, what do you want to do now that you're in our world? And so he does that thing where he, like, takes off her glasses, and they start macking on each other.
Yeah, and it kind of annoys me that he takes off her glasses. Like, as somebody with glasses, like, I can kiss with my glasses on, thank you very much.
I mean, it felt very appropriate to who his character is, though.
I know, and it was, like, a sweet little moment of, like, I want to look at your entire face and whatever, but, like, it just...
I took it more as okay, in his mind, he's taking this off so that he doesn't have to, like, bump into them. Like, I could see him thinking, oh, this is so I don't make them dirty. And
maybe, but...
I don't know how to make out with women who are wearing glasses.
That's more likely.
I think it could be both.
Yeah.
Like, cognitively, he's thinking, I don't want to get these dirty. Subconsciously, he's thinking, I don't know how to make out with people who are wearing glasses because those are all nerds and losers that I shove into lockers because I'm a jock. He's wearing a Letterman sweater, guys.
Yeah.
And of course, for her, like, she doesn't specifically need them. He's known her without them. Like,
yeah, I know. It was just...
I think it's a product of the time that he would have been written, like, as 50s.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not super bothered by it because I'm like, oh, how quaint.
It just annoys me because it makes me think of, like, movies like She's All That and stuff like that, where, like, you have to take off the glasses to be pretty, and that just annoys me.
It was tropey.
Yeah, like,
but
I think
it
that's
was a very
50s
appropriate trope.
Yeah, maybe. But I think
Phoebe didn't seem to be bothered because she continued macking on him.
Yeah, totally. But that has just always annoyed me where anybody who comes in with glasses, even today, like if you see like a model that comes in with glasses and they get their makeover, they immediately give them contacts. It's like, fuck you, you can be pretty with glasses.
But anyway, they pull apart, and now, despite the fact that there is now you can't see it, but I'm holding my fingers in a 0. There is 0 makeup on Phoebe's lips. But in the when they cut back to Billy, his lips are all CG black and white.
Yeah, it's a definite continuity error because there's no makeup on her face to show that it would have rubbed off onto her. Mm-hmm. Because you can still see that her lips are slightly pink.
Yeah.
Which, if his face had been covered in foundation...
Her lips haven't changed color at all.
Right. But here's the thing. When we have POV from over his shoulder, his lips don't look black and white. But when we do POV from her side, his lips are black and white, along with a lovely ring around his lips.
Yeah.
Being black and white.
Because, I mean, this was some macking.
Yeah. So...
Mac attack.
She's like, oh, I almost forgot. Like, forgetting that he wasn't real.
And
then he goes back to put the makeup
sponge
on his lips.
Yeah.
And then the phone rings. So she answers the phone, and it is Daryl, who is... We cut to see that he is outside the Pacific Theater's building. He thanks her for the heads up, and we see he is in a black suit with a blue shirt and a blue patterned tie.
And for some reason, it is now day.
Yeah, there is that. It's the day of blue, though. Because we had Leo in the blue suit, and now we have Daryl in a blue suit, and they both had the blue tie. It was just very interesting. He tells her that there is 1 dead, 4 injured, and 6 in custody, and he calls the theater the Mission Multiplex.
There were several dozen people in that theater, so I'm like, that's pretty good statistics.
Very true. But he calls the theater the Mission Multiplex, which is interesting because that means that he is saying that this theater is in the Mission District of San Francisco.
Yeah, no.
Just putting that out there.
I thought he missed a prime opportunity to say, because he was telling them that this wasn't the only places that this was happening. He missed a prime opportunity to say it was happening at multiple multiplexes.
Yes.
And then that made me go off in my head onto a Phantom of the Multiplex tangent, which was I believe a Disney Channel movie.
All right.
It was like Phantom of the Opera, but movie theater.
Interesting.
It was cute.
All right. Sure.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so Phoebe tells him to keep his eyes open because there's probably going to be more. And then they say their goodbyes, and she hangs up and dials Piper because she has figured out where their demon has gone. So we cut downstairs into the dark room, wherever that is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we don't really know. I'm assuming basement. But at this point, we don't really know.
Well, I mean, where else could it be in this fucking house?
Technically, it could be in the room under the stairs that only kind of sometimes exists.
I think that room officially does not exist anymore.
At least not yet. No, not yet. Anyway, so we see Prue and Finley developing photos under the red light. So, as we learned earlier, that means they are making black and white photos.
Prue asks him if maybe he wants to take the pictures home to ponder them. And he's like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to save these damn things.
Yeah.
And then we hear Phoebe calling out from upstairs, asking if it's okay to come down.
Which is when I realized that this is probably in the basement.
And you can kind of see a brick column at that point. You're like, well, there's no other place in this house that has brick like that, so...
Yeah. Prue, of course, says that it's not a good time.
And Phoebe's like, but I have to demonstrate something for you.
Yeah, and then she pokes her head around a curtain, which lets in a little bit of white light that would have ruined any non-developed film. Just saying.
Uh-huh.
So they have a cute little exchange where they say the word thing over and over again.
Uh-huh.
It's like, we have to do a thing when you're done with the thing, and the thing. And
then we go to the thing. I know.
Yeah. So they're trying not to say anything that they don't want this mundane to understand.
Yeah, and when the exchange finishes, Phoebe's like, I love you, and then just, like, pops back.
Yeah, and Prue notices Finley, like, looking at her, and she's just like, sisters. Yeah. So he tells her to reprint the photo that he's looking at, giving her exact instructions on what he wants done to it, before being rude to her yet again. And then she turns on the light. Like, she turns off the red light, turns on the white light, which shows that Phoebe's head peeking in wouldn't have actually ruined anything, which is good. And then she puts a film negative, just a little piece of negative, which I'm assuming is the picture that he wants her to redo, underneath the transcript said a microscope, but it's not actually a microscope.
It was one of those, like, table lamp magnifiers.
Yeah, it's a magnifier that is specific for...
like, crafts and shit.
Specific for photography.
Oh, really?
Because you put the light on, you pull the... I don't know how to explain it. Okay. It
looked like a metal circle thingy that the negative was in.
Yeah, it's the negative... The piece of negative is inside a metal circle because that holds it flat. Mm-hmm. And then that goes on top of the paper that you want to put the thing on, and you have it is kind of, it's a magnifying glass, not a microscope. That's where my thing got it wrong, my transcript. It's a magnifying glass where you put that and then you lift up the negative to where you want it, and when you put the light through, it shines down onto the paper that you're going to put the thing on. So why, if she was redoing this, she turned on the white light as opposed to leaving the red light on, I don't know, because you can't do a picture onto the photo paper with the white light on. But shrug. Because of all our convenience reasons, that's why. So he tells her that her photos have no depth.
And she just kind of like looks up and you see all of her fucks fly off into the distance. Yep. And she just goes, would that be the technique or the subject?
Yeah. And then she gives him an earful where this is basically the don't meet your heroes because they'll disappoint you speech just happens.
And then there was a bit in there where, like, right at the end where she's like, the brilliance of your work is completely diminished by the ignorance of your mouth. Yes. And it reminded me of that W.C. Fields quote that's like, oh, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with bullshit.
Yeah. It was a lovely, lovely earful that she gave him. Mm-hmm. And then the negative under the magnifying glass
starts smoking.
Yep, catches fire. And he says, that's the thing about art. Leaving your subject under the light too long makes it burn.
Which is supposed to be like a cynical statement. And I'm just like, honey, you're just an asshole.
Yeah. And then he goes to leave, and she grabs her camera and, like, runs after him. And as he reaches the stairs, she calls out to him, and he turns his head, and she, like, snaps a photo really quickly and, like, blinds him a little bit with the flash. And she says thank you, and he says you're welcome, and then he walks up the stairs.
Yeah.
It was
He's kind of like rubbing his eyes, too.
Yeah, it was a lovely exchange.
And this is with her digital camera, too.
Yeah, that was the best part. It was the digital camera that she grabbed. So, we cut to a movie theater. We don't know where this movie theater is. And we see...
In the movie, there's a bunch of pajama-clad girls in a living room somewhere in full daylight, and a ghost lady comes in the garden doors.
Yeah, she's in all white with white makeup face.
Mottled white makeup face.
Yeah. And
with sunken eyes.
Yeah, and she is holding a knife.
And she's got, like, tattered, flowy clothing.
Yeah, it's like a dress, like a white dress that's vaguely reminiscent of a nightgown-y type thing.
Or at least a Halloween outfit.
Well, yeah. Piper and Leo walk in, and Piper jokes about grabbing seats in the back and making out before demon hunting, which was kind of funny. Yep.
And then, of course, the demon appears on screen.
Yeah.
And the audience is like, what the fuck? So he dusts them.
Yep.
And Piper and Leo go still, and Piper's like, well, I'm okay, you're okay. Magic perk.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Because, like, everyone else went still except them, and she's just like, well, all right, cool.
And then the demon sees them, and he's like, Mary, Bloody Mary.
Yeah, which is apparently the color of this film.
And she comes when she's called.
Yeah.
Which is very Bloody Mary of her.
Yeah, like she walks out of the other room where she had, gone after the pajama-clad ladies.
The demon
then tells
points out
her,
Piper.
Yeah, to kill Piper and pops her out of the screen. And Piper tries to freeze her, but it doesn't work.
And she's like, well, my powers don't work, but my legs still do. And so she pushes Leo out of the theater and they both run.
Yeah. And then Mary follows with the knife raised and we go to commercial break. So our Bloody Mary is played by Olivia Summers. And just like our Axeman, she's mostly a stunt person. She started acting in 1999 and started doing stunts in 2005. She hasn't done much acting since 2009, but she is still doing stunts. And she's mostly been a stunt driver for the past couple of years.
Solid work.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to an exterior shot of the manor at night now.
Yeah, when we come back from our commercial, exterior shot of the manor, night shot. We get a quick shot of Phoebe and Billy making out in the attic still, before cutting back to the dark room down in the basement where Prue is cleaning up. And for some reason, she calls out to Phoebe, saying, like, I'll be there in a minute. Mm-hmm. And then the axe murderer comes through the curtain and aims straight for her. She screams, she ducks, and he, like, throws his axe down and hits a box of something.
I think it was paper?
Yeah, it might have been photo paper. Like, hits a box of something on the table, and she tries to use her power on him, and it doesn't work. And so she's taken aback for a moment, she's like, fling the hand, and it doesn't work, and she kind of has that moment of, like, hesitation of, like,
shit.
Well, fuck, that so rarely happens. Okay, so she starts running for the stairs, and he follows right behind, grabs her by the leg, making her fall, but she falls in, like, the slowest way possible.
Yeah.
Where, like, we see her start to fall, and then we cut to her already face down on the stairs.
Yeah.
It was very funny. He raises the axe, Prue gets herself back up, and as he brings the axe down, he chops down a stair. Prue then kicks him in the face, and she runs out of the basement.
Kick. She's
it was a really good. Well, remember that she has been apparently taking Taibo classes.
True.
We have heard her say that before. So she runs out of the basement, and we get a tracking shot, which is one of my favorite shots in this episode. Is a tracking shot of her running out of the basement door, through the kitchen, through the little hallway, through the dining room, and then up the stairs to the second floor as she's calling out to Phoebe on the way. It was a lovely tracking shot. I want to know how many takes it took. I'm hoping not too many, because it wasn't that...
Probably like 3.
Yeah, like it wasn't that extensive, but it was a lovely little tracking shot.
I think she probably just had
house.
to get used to running at a slow enough pace that the camera can get out of the way.
Yeah, but making it look like she's running quickly. Yeah.
Anyway.
So then we cut up to the attic where Phoebe and Billy are still making out as Prue runs in.
And funnily enough, when they break apart, Billy's lips are still in color.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Weird that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a cute little exchange between them where Phoebe is like, hello, privacy.
And Prue's like, hello, axe murderer.
Yeah, it was funny.
And we get, like, the briefest, like, glimpse of Phoebe's face where she's like, what?
Yeah, it was very, very funny. And then Prue uses her power to move a table in front of the...
tiny table.
Yeah, in front of the attic door, which she has closed behind her. And then we see the axe murderer chop his way through the door.
So that's one count to be added to the attic door annihilation.
Indeed. The ADA is up by 1, which brings our season total up to 1, and our series total up to 3.
Yeah.
Yeehaw. Phoebe and Prue kind of stand behind Billy as the Axeman, like, cuts through stuff in the attic.
They run towards, like, a window in the back of the room, so probably, like, near the front of the house, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Prue moves a roll-top desk in front of them with her power.
Yeah.
And right next to the roll-top desk is a fucking bookshelf, like a see-through bookshelf type deal.
Yeah, like an IKEA bookshelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-shelf, open shelf, bookshelf thing. That's a lot of words, shelf.
Yeah. And apparently in between the man and this roll-top desk is some kind of, like, hat rack or dress form or something.
Yeah.
Which he chops, and then Prue's like, that's an antique, you ass! And then Billy covers her mouth.
Yeah, and Phoebe's like, he's very, very sensitive about the language. It was super funny cute. Like, it was great. So I think we should add, like, at least 1 to the FAQ just on principle at this point. So that will bring us up to 18 for the season.
The table.
Yeah, and 23 for the series at this point. Then we cut to the front door as Piper comes in.
She runs in, locks it behind her, and as she's...
And, like, she checks it to make sure it's actually locked, which was kind of funny, too.
Yeah. I mean, they so rarely do.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, she had the wherewithal.
Yeah.
But yeah, as she's taking off her hoodie and wandering around the downstairs, she's explaining that Leo stayed at the movie theater to deal with, like, the violent people. And that there's a dead woman with a knife on her way.
And then she realizes that nobody is downstairs.
She's like, where the fuck is everybody? And then she hears screams from upstairs.
Yeah, so she runs. And again, it's a slight tracking shot that we get from her, from the front door. She walks through the living room, through the wicker room.
Sitting room.
Yeah, through the sitting room. Sorry, the house is a weird layout. She walks through, comes in the front door.
To the sitting room.
The living room to the sitting room, and then through into, like, the foyer again. And, like, chucks her hoodie onto the floor, basically, or, like, at the table, before running up the stairs. So then, of course, we cut back up to the attic, where the axe murderer is still chopping through things. And we have a bit of a continuity error here, where we see Phoebe hiding behind Billy's left side, and then a quick cut to the Axeman chopping through yet another thing, and then we cut back, and we now see that Phoebe is
I think that was the remnants of the bookshelf.
Possibly. Phoebe is now on Billy's right side, and Prue is on his left. So it was a little continuity error there. Prue then picks up a chair, and like holds it up.
And it was
for
like
some reason, like why
it was like
would
a
you
bamboo
think,
chair too.
Yeah, like why would you think this would do anything? She holds it up and he immediately chops it into pieces. And then all of a sudden he stops and falls to the floor, and we see a long piece of wood just sticking out of his back, and Piper is standing there.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I'm assuming we can add another number or two.
3, I think. Roll top, bookshelf, and chair.
All right, so that brings us up to
21.
21 for the season and 26 for the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Prue goes over to Piper, and Piper asks Phoebe if our Axeman looks familiar, as Piper mentions that the demon sent Bloody Mary after them.
And Phoebe's like, wait a second, this is Paul Bunyan with a lobotomy.
Yeah.
I saw him in Axe Husband last week.
Yeah, it's the movie Axe Husband. So I'm not going to tangent, but Paul Bunyan is a giant lumberjack from American folklore. He's usually accompanied by Babe the Blue Ox.
Babe, the big blue ox.
Yeah. There are many statues of him throughout the U.S. I will link to all of that on the website. Not going to tangent on it because it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Prue makes a joke that they need to monitor Phoebe's viewing habits.
Yeah.
And then the axe murderer starts moving again and trying to, like, pick the piece of wood out of his back.
Yeah, so they all scream and run away. And it's hilariously funny because as we cut to the axe murderer, like, trying to grab at his back to get this wood out, we cut back to them running and we see Billy, like, slam into the door frame on his way out. It was the funniest thing.
It was cute.
It was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
So
they managed to get down the attic stairs, but they're in, like, the second floor of the house right now.
Right.
And they're discussing about how can they kill something that's not real, and then Bloody Mary appears from around the corner, and they all scream.
And then Billy grabs her, and she stabs him with the knife.
Phoebe is distressed, but then Billy's face is like, well, hey!
Yeah.
And he's like, I have something in common with the bad guys. Girls, run!
Yeah. So Bloody Mary pulls the knife out of Billy's chest, leaving no blood or wound
It
of
was
any
really
kind.
good for props. Like, it looked like the thing actually went in, kind of. I mean, it probably didn't, but, like, it
was
looked
probably
good.
a retractable, but it looked really good. Yeah, it was a good prop thing. But so she pulls the knife out, leaving no wound, no blood, nothing. So it's a good time to be fake, you know. And everybody runs in different directions. And we have my favorite scene in the entire episode.
It's really good.
So we cut to the bathroom where Piper runs in.
This is the same same bathroom in which Prue nearly drowned in the shower, FYI.
Right. So here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Piper runs in, shuts the door, and starts turning around looking for a place to hide.
And
she gets in a clawfoot tub.
Yeah.
That has a shower curtain.
With, like, flowers all over it.
Yes. There are 2 showers in this damn bathroom.
Yeah, there's the enclosed, like, glass shower.
What?
And a clawfoot tub with the shower.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Very.
I don't understand it.
Neither do I.
But whatever. So
anyway.
She gets in the shower, she pulls the curtain closed, and then she realizes, while being stalked by psycho killers, she has now hidden in the shower.
Uh-huh.
So this is a lovely reference to the book/movie of Psycho. So I will link to the wiki for the original 1959 book by Robert Bloch and the IMDb for the original 1960 Hitchcock film so that you can look at those. I refuse to link to the 1998 remake. You want to look?
One?
Yep, you want that? You look it up for your damn self.
Weird.
It starred Vince Vaughn. That's all I gotta say about that. Oh
no.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, Vince.
Yeah. So, Piper hears the door open, so she stands, like, as still as she can.
And as the footsteps get closer and closer to the bathtub, she crouches down and you see a shadow of someone with hair pulled back.
Yeah.
Reaching their hand toward the shower
And it was
curtain.
a very, like, the shadow of the arm was a very muscular arm.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it was a weird angle, too.
Yeah, but it was like, you could tell, like, whoever was reaching had, like, a good set of muscle on that arm.
Oh, yeah.
And so the shower curtain gets pulled open and Piper screams, and so does Prue, because it was Prue coming toward the shower.
They both calm down, and Piper gets up out of the tub. Prue's like, hey, it's good that they're not in the bathroom with them, just as the door opens, and in walks Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
They scream again and run out the other door that's apparently to this bathroom.
Yeah. So they run around the corner, and then they run into Phoebe and Billy, and they all scream.
And it's adorable.
It was hilarious.
And then once
Billy,
they finish up, Billy does this
like woo! Yeah, it was funny. It made
Which
me
is
laugh
exactly what I would do after
way
a
too hard.
rousing screaming session.
Yeah, it made me laugh way too hard. And then they all kind of calm down, and they're standing in the hallway, and Phoebe says that she thinks she knows how to kill them.
And we get a lovely shot of Piper and Prue pointing behind Phoebe at the silhouette of an axe that's crawling across the wall.
Yeah.
And they're like, behind you.
Yeah.
And
so...
Oh my god.
The axe murderer walks around the corner, and Billy, like, pounces on him, and Phoebe, of course, calls out for him, and Billy reminds her that he can't be hurt by these guys, and tells them to run while he holds them off.
They run back upstairs into the attic, naturally.
So, Phoebe tells them her thought that the only way that they can kill these people is how they died in the movies that they were in.
Piper's like, well, don't look at me. I'm a romantic comedy girl.
Yeah, she gets a little defensive about not knowing how horror movies go. And so Prue realizes that Phoebe's knowledge is the thing that's going to help them.
At this point, Bloody Mary enters the attic and says, "Miss me?"
Yeah. Phoebe remembers that she had been thrown out a window in
and
her
also,
movie.
the ex-husband dude was electrocuted.
Yeah. So she tells Prue to tell Billy, and I think Prue had a funny line of to try and see if the slasher will stick his finger in a socket.
Yeah.
Which was just great. So she goes to leave the attic, and as she passes Bloody Mary, like, Mary starts to turn, and then Piper and Phoebe are like, no, over here, and, like, she turns back, so Prue is able to get away. It was so, like, it was such a weird moment.
Yeah.
But it worked, I guess.
It was a little kitschy.
It was a little kitschy. So,
anyway,
Piper
runs to one side, Bloody Mary goes after Phoebe. Phoebe grabs her and flips her over her head toward the window, and then jumps up onto a beam and kicks the woman in the chest.
Yeah.
She crashes through the window and onto the ground outside. They run, Phoebe and Piper run over to the window, and they see her disappear in an effect that is meant to look like film being burnt and melted.
Yeah.
Which was really good.
It was actually a really good effect. Like,
yeah.
I was really proud of that one. And then suddenly, Prue comes flying through the attic door and lands on the ground. And the girls start to run over to her, but they, like, stop, like, halfway to her. And she gets up.
And she's like, he was not receptive to the idea.
Yeah. So Piper laments having to clean up after these guys. And the axe murderer walks in. And we have the most a la convenience moment in the entire show.
Piper spots a mop bucket with water in it.
And pulls it close to her via the mop. And then Prue glances to the other side of the attic.
And sees a heater that's plugged in for some goddamn reason.
And turned on. Not just plugged in, but plugged in and turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy comes in, has the adorably quaint line of, "Don't worry, girls, the man is here to save the day." He pushes his sleeves barely up his forearms, and then does the fisticuffs look.
Yeah, it was adorable.
Except his elbows are, like, way too far in.
Yeah, it was super cute.
It was very Fighting Irish.
Yeah. Prue, of course, tells him that it is the 21st century, and it's the woman's job to save the day. And he goes, oh.
And then
he puts his fist down. It was so cute.
It was adorable.
It was the cutest thing ever. Like, oh, okay. You know.
He's a very supportive 50s boy.
Yeah. And then she uses her power to fly the heater over to the axe murderer, who drops his axe to catch it.
Yes, and then Phoebe throws the bucket of water on him, and we get some lovely, like, electrical sparks, and then he disappears like burnt film, because, hey, that's how he dies.
Yeah.
Piper then says, "It's over," and Phoebe's like, "Fuck, no, don't say that, don't say that."
Yeah, you never say that in a horror movie. Never, ever. And then the doorbell rings. Because of course it does.
Because of course it does.
Right. So they cut downstairs as they're all cautiously walking through the foyer up to the front door. And Piper slowly reaches out to grab the doorknob. And it's like the tension is building.
Yeah.
And like the music is tense.
And her hand is almost on the knob. And then we hear Daryl on the other side of the door going, It's Daryl.
Yeah. And like it makes them all jump.
Yeah.
It was
And there was
hilarious.
a little scream.
Yeah. It was...
And so then Piper opens the door while the rest of them just go into the living room.
Yeah.
Piper takes one look at Daryl's face, and she's like, serious face. I see that. We're too tired for pleasantries. Let's go.
Yeah.
Everyone ends up sitting down in the living room except for Daryl.
And
he looks at Billy, who's sitting next to Phoebe, and Phoebe's like, oh, he's okay.
Yeah. And so, as soon as Phoebe says that he's okay, he's like, well, all right, if they're vouching for him. Like,
he's
fine.
like, well, they're too tired for pleasantries, so am I.
Yeah. So, Daryl tells them that there are a ton of movie-style murders happening at multiple locations, so he thinks that there's a copycat. Phoebe says that there's just more than one cat, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And we get my favorite 2-sentence moment, where Prue says, how much do you want? And Daryl says, only what I need.
Yeah.
And it makes it really easy to see how much Daryl has grown as a character, because he knows that there's not much that they can tell him that he'll be able to make sense of for, like, the rest of the cops. And so he doesn't want to have to learn more than he needs to know, which is just really nice. So they give him a quick rundown. He asks if it's over.
And Piper corrects her earlier mistake and says, far from it.
Yeah, she says no because they still have to figure out how to stop the demon. And Daryl is not happy at the use of the D word, and Piper apologizes. It was kind of cute. And then his pager goes off, and so he says that he's got to get back to the station and tells them to call him. And they thank him, and he leaves. And then the girls realize that they need to find the demon. And then Billy chimes up, saying that the demon's been in his movie in every city that they've played.
And that makes the girls realize that he's been traveling inside the movies to get from place to place.
Right.
Which is fucking genius, I have to say.
Well, you know, if you're the demon of illusion and you can, why not?
Yes. So, apparently, that night, at midnight, is the final showing of this movie that apparently has still been going on despite the fact that Billy is not in it.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, never explained.
Never explained.
So yeah, they realize they have to go into the movie to be able to kill him.
Right.
And
so,
at first, Piper is like, "Oh, can you write a spell?" Phoebe's like, "No, but I can whip up a potion."
Yeah. So Piper tells her to make 2. You know, one for getting in and one for getting out, which makes logical sense.
Yeah.
Phoebe realizes that she's going to have to leave Billy in the movie, and he says that she'll always be able to find him there. We jump over to the theater as Piper, Prue, Phoebe, and Billy all walk in, and we see Sally Mae on the screen, and our popcorn guy is asleep in the front row.
It's the same guy from earlier, BT Dubs.
Yes, popcorn guy.
Okay.
That's what I said, popcorn guy. So, since she actually gets to talk, I shall tell you about our Sally Mae. The actress is Leslie Lawton. She has 5 acting credits. There you go. All I know. Back to the show. Sally Mae is excited to see Billy.
And apparently she can now see outside of the screen as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess this demon has a really weird effect on shit.
Yeah. So she's excited to see Billy until she realizes that he's brought company. And there's the, you know, like, we were going steady. You pinned me. That kind of, you know, whatever. And we get the awkward, I only like you because I was written that way thing.
It was awkward. I'm like, sweetie, don't burn the bridge you have to cross in a second.
Yeah. But he tells her that the girls are there to help, and so she's kind of okay with it. And then Phoebe hands each of them a little jar of something green, little potion.
We hear the lovely little clinking noise.
Yeah. And Prue wishes that it looked like it tasted good, you know, knowing that it's not going to taste good.
Phoebe and Billy take the lids off of their jars together and then clink them.
Yeah.
And Billy's the first one to drink. He drinks it and then tosses it behind him, and we hear a little, like, ADR glass break.
Yeah, it was a really loud glass break.
For such a tiny fucking bottle.
And if you're in a theater, it probably has, you know, carpeted floor, so...
Possibly.
There
Unless
is
it
that
landed,
as well.
like, under the seats or whatever. That's generally not carpeted. But then Phoebe
does
follows
the same
suit.
thing. And that glass break was slightly louder.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when she walks into the movie, turns around and looks at herself, and then she looks at her sister and she's like, hey guys, I'm retro.
Yeah, because she's black and white. But it was kind of cute, though, because Billy walked into the movie and then, like, put his hand out for Phoebe.
Aww.
It was super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piper drinks hers, doesn't throw it over her shoulder, but kind of, like, turns around and, like, flings it to the ground.
Yeah, and, of course, another glass break sound.
And she starts to say, it tastes like ass. And
then Billy gives her this look, and she finishes the word with
fault.
Yeah, it was a cute little thing because she made it be not just ass. It was funny.
So Piper walks into the movie, and that's when the demon walks on screen.
Now, we see Prue drink the liquid.
Yeah.
As well. But Prue doesn't actually go into the film. So, because the demon walks out onto the screen and says something about now time for the violent climax.
And it's at this point when Popcorn Guy, who has been snoozing, wakes up and pushes Prue to the floor.
Right. And he goes to jump on her, but she kicks him in the stomach. Piper, of course, reminds her that he's under a spell. And someone I think was supposed to be Prue calls out to Piper that the demon is behind her. And at the exact same moment that Piper turns around and punches the demon in the face, Prue turns around and punches Popcorn Guy in the face.
In the same way and in the same direction. It was a really good moment of choreography. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really nice, but it was just slightly odd that it was supposed to be Prue telling Piper to watch out. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Yeah, Prue's talking to Popcorn Dude and telling him, I know you're innocent, so I can't kill you. But then she flings him into a curtained wall, and she's like, night-night.
Yeah, she's like, see ya. I can't kill you, but I can definitely knock you out. Meanwhile, Phoebe is beating the crap out of our demon on screen.
But for some reason, he's still, pretty chipper, and he's like, hey, guys, don't you remember... Didn't anyone ever tell you what happens if you're in the movie when it ends?
Yeah.
And so the girls try to get out, but they smack right back into the screen.
Yeah, it was a nice visual gag where you can see, their faces go flat.
Uh-huh. And, really good job, because they obviously had to film this bit in a separate place at a different time. And really, at this point, Shannon is the only one who's reacting to what's happening on that screen.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was a nice coordinated sort of effort.
Yeah.
And then the movie starts getting dark and Piper's freaking out.
Yeah. She's like, what is happening? And then we see the words, the end, show up on the screen, and we go to commercial break. Because of course we do.
Our final commercial break.
Indeed. So, when we come back from the break, we are right at the same moment where we left off. The words, the end is on the screen, and Prue is trying to figure out what to do. And Piper's fading voice from the screen is telling her to help them. And it starts going into a countdown for some reason at the end.
I think that's counting to the end of the film strand.
Yeah.
So that the person can know when to take it off and shut down the motor.
That could be. So Prue freaks out and then she astral projects into the projector room. And the projectionist is asleep in his chair. So really quickly, I shall tell you about him because literally, again, just like Sally Mae, not a lot to say. He is played by August Amarino. He only has 6 acting credits between the years of 1989 and 2002. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, Prue walks over to the projector and then
she's looking for the reverse button.
Yeah, she finds it on the wall. There are 2 buttons, one marked F and one marked R. So she pushes R, the film reel stops and then reverses.
Yeah, and we see the numbers getting higher.
And we see the actors playing Billy and Sally Mae going in reverse, while Piper, Phoebe, and the demon are just kind of standing there.
Yeah, so we see the last few moments of the movie being reenacted in reverse, and then they walk off the screen because they start off screen, I guess.
Yeah, because Sally comes on and then Billy finds her.
Right. And so Prue then pushes the F button, making the film go forward again, and Piper and Phoebe and the demon all fall over.
Yeah.
Because the film has now started going forward.
Yeah. It was cute.
Funny. And so Prue astral projects back to her
film
body.
Gags.
Yeah. Prue goes back to her body and asks if they're okay, and they say that they are. And they have enough time to drink the other potion. And then they walk out of the screen and they hug Prue. And the demon taunts them about running away and being cowards and whatever.
And he does the worst impression of them.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm the charmed one. So we run away.
Yeah. And Piper, who is having a little moment of doubt of we can't do anything. He tells Piper not to be so negative.
Aren't you supposed to be the chipper one?
Yeah.
Or peppy, I think he said.
Perky,
yeah.
Perky one, yeah. But he tells her not to be so negative, which causes Prue to think of something. Yeah. And so
Don't you get it? Negative. Because film.
Yeah.
You didn't laugh.
I didn't laugh because I was in the middle of saying a thing.
But I wanted you to laugh.
Ha-ha.
There we go.
Ha-ha.
Okay, that works.
Ha-ha. He says not to be so negative, to which Prue has a realization. And as he's asking them how it feels to not be able to defeat him, Prue's like, I don't know, how would that feel? And then she uses her power to flick off the monitor
Which is technically a moment of psychokinesis and not telekinesis because she cannot see
Indeed.
the monitor.
Yep.
So she restates the lesson she learned from Finley about a subject being left under the light for too long. Like, the second the monitor gets shut off and the motor stops running, the demon's like, shit, it's getting hot in here. I'm like, so take off all your clothes.
Yes.
And then the film
Maybe
starts
you
melting.
shouldn't watch all black. You know.
Yeah, I know, right?
You shouldn't wear all black.
The
Anyway.
film starts melting and we get some nice distortion effect.
Yeah, and he yells out a final no.
Before
And then the film melts
melts
completely. And then we have a lovely little time jump where we see Prue and Piper up in the projector room.
Yes.
My
The
brain didn't wanna say that.
projectionist is repairing the strip of film,
Mm-hmm.
and he thanks Prue for warning him about the film burning because that must have saved his job.
Yeah,
so
and she gives him a little side hug. It was super cute of like, aww, you know.
And it's really interesting because that means that the demon was only in whatever frame of the film he wanted to be in. So when it stopped on a single frame, that one gets burned out. Fortunately, neither Billy nor Sally Mae were in that frame. Mm-hmm. Although I'm not sure it would have affected them as much. We probably just would have seen a jump. Because they're probably running on a 24 frame per second
Yeah, I don't
thing.
know. No idea.
Which is pretty much the minimum for humans to be able to discern constant motion, I believe.
Yeah. Anyway.
Not pigeons, though. Looks like a slideshow to them.
Indeed. So, Piper says that, at least Prue learned something from Finley after all. And Prue says, you can love the work, but not the man. And then Piper kind of looks backwards for some reason and says, what if you love them both?
And we cut to Phoebe, who's talking to Billy on the screen, who can, for some reason, still interact with her.
Yeah. This is most definitely an a la convenience move.
And it's funny because, technically, the projectionist is working on that roll of film
at that time.
So it's the second half of the movie, presumably. They like to split them up into two, at least, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's a bit where I think, typically you'll have two projectors running, so that, for longer movies in general.
Yeah.
So that you can put in, and there'll be some overlap, so you can put in the second half of the film, start running it, and then the other one will run out.
Yeah.
And as long as you time it up correctly, you should be fine.
Yeah. So she thanks him for restoring her faith in the male species, and he says that she has to hold out for one that's three-dimensional, which was kind of funny.
And then there's this really cute moment where he puts his hand up against the screen.
And she does the same.
And then I go,
but...
Yowie hand!
Okay.
Oh, there was a meme going around a really long time ago about how, for some reason, dudes drawn in Yowie booklets had these giant fucking hands, disproportionately large, and so now whenever I see a really big hand next to a really small one, I'm just like, Yowie hands!
Okay.
Yeah.
That is not a reference I get, but that is perfectly fine.
It's mostly a Tumblr thing.
Okay. So what I did think was interesting, though, is we see from her like view, she's not actively touching the screen.
No.
Her hand is like a good 3 inches away from the screen.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of interesting, but it was kind of cute.
But it really just needs to look like her hand is up against his hand. And
Yeah.
it got that effect.
Yeah.
They start
And then
walking away, and then at the same time, they glance back at each other.
Yeah.
So another good coordinated moment.
Yeah, it was a sweet little moment, and like, you know that she's never going to forget that, even though he will, because he's in a movie.
Yeah.
And, as soon as the magic wears off completely, he'll just be back to whatever. So, we get an exterior shot of the manor. Piper and Leo are cuddled up on the couch. He is in gray pants and a black and tan sweater, like 3 shades of tan. She is in jeans and a blue shirt. This is the episode of Blue, with black shoes. And she has her shoes on the couch, which I always used to get in trouble for.
Yeah.
Like, you don't put your shoes on the couch. Whatever. Just saying.
Anyway, they're talking about that date that they had at the beginning of the episode.
She thinks was a disaster. And then there's like some playful teasing where he's like, no, it was cute. I loved how you freaked out at the accordion player.
And she slaps him on the leg.
Yeah. And then they kiss. And Piper, once again, says that she wanted them to be a normal couple.
And he's like, well, you're a witch, I'm a white lighter. Basically, being busy and called away are probably the only normal things about us.
Indeed. And she seems to agree to that. And then they kiss again. And we cut to the front door, which has been left open.
Ajar.
Yeah.
So you know it's not a door.
Yeah.
Because it's a jar.
Indeed. For some a la convenience reason, the door is open. And Dan walks up and then walks in saying, door's open, and he just kind of saunters in. And he's in jeans and a black gingham top.
Yeah, weird.
I actually really liked that top.
Yeah. It was okay.
I enjoy black gingham.
I was too distracted by his greasy ass hair.
Of course you were. But I enjoy black gingham. Like, okay. I like the concept of black gingham. Because most of the time when you think of gingham, it's usually like pink or red or blue.
Yeah.
And this was black. And it actually looked kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Anyway, so we cut back to the living room where Leo and Piper stop kissing at the sound of Dan.
But he, of course, rounds the corner in time to see them cuddling up on the couch.
Yeah.
And he starts to walk back out. And
yeah, he's kind of like, never mind, and turns around. And Piper, of course, calls after him and then goes to catch him before he leaves. And she notices that he's holding a small box of stuff and asks him about it. A
small box of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a shoebox size.
It's like in between a shoebox and like a paper box, like a Xerox box full of paper.
Yeah, no, it was more shoebox size.
It was closer to shoebox size, but it was slightly bigger than your average shoebox.
Yeah, it was like boot box.
And probably smarter than your average bear.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So he says that it's some of the stuff that she left at his house that he had been holding on to in the hopes that she'd come back. But after seeing her and Leo at the restaurant, he realizes that he has to move on too.
Yeah, Piper thanks him, and then Prue comes barging in through that unlocked door.
Yeah, she's in dark jeans and an off-the-shoulder long-sleeve shirt that has like flowers on it.
Yeah.
It was actually like, it was kind of flowy. It was actually really pretty.
And she's kind of startled at seeing Dan there.
Yeah. And he says that he's just leaving, and as he goes, he
kind of grabs Prue's hand and like she shakes it or squeezes it or something.
Yeah, like she puts out her hand and he like grabs it, and it was this weird,
like brotherly.
Yeah,
it was kind of brotherly.
Yeah, it was a little odd, and like he leaves and closes the door. Mm-hmm. And so Piper's like, let's not talk about that. Tell me other things, like what happened at the magazine.
Yeah.
And so they walk back into the living room, and Prue says that she had another run-in with Finley, and then she sees Leo, and she's like, oh, hi. Like, it was super cute.
Yeah.
And then they sit down.
And she's got, like, these weird blonde, like, random blonde streaks in her hair.
Yeah, she has these, like, blonde streaks that, like, weren't there the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And they're not...
spoiler alert, aren't there next episode.
Yeah. But it did remind me of the Fear episode where she got the bit of white in her hair. Mm-hmm. That has never been brought up again. These were clearly
like clip-in extension things.
Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah.
But so they sit down as Phoebe comes in.
And she's wearing an outfit that I can only describe as Rosie the Riveter, the childhood years.
Yeah, because she has an orange tank top under denim overalls that are shorts.
With big fuzzy white socks.
Yeah, and her hair is pulled up and covered by a blue bandana.
Uh-huh. Hence the Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, it was...
She pops into the armchair butt first over the arm just before Prue can sit down in it.
Yeah, well, but Prue does sit down in it, so they're kind of occupying the same space. Yeah. It's kind of adorable.
Yeah, Prue informs them that her editor loved the shot she shows of Finley, and she kind of shows us a glimpse of the one she took of him on the stairs in the basement.
Yeah.
And she's like,
my editor thought it brought out the real him.
And they all have a little laugh at that.
Yeah.
And then Prue's like, oh, and while I know I will never see another horror movie after what we've been through, I did find this one thing. And she pulls out a VHS copy of Kill It Before It Dies and hands it to Phoebe.
And Phoebe flips out.
She flips out. And she stands up on the chair. And she's like, I'm going to watch it right now. And she steps out over the arm of the chair and runs up the stairs.
Yeah, like she runs out of the living room, runs up the stairs. And Pepper's like, should we worry about this? And Prue's just like, no, I think she's just saying goodbye.
And maybe masturbating.
Well, yeah.
She is going to her bedroom to stare at a boy.
Well, there is that. So this is when we...
A boy she thinks is the perfect man. I'm thinking there's going to be a little bean flicking in there.
Yeah, I'm not even going to... We're just going to leave that. So this is where we can really notice the blonde streaks.
I wonder what vibrators would have been available at that time.
I said I was dropping it. We're dropping it. We noticed...
Like it's hot?
This is what I have to deal with. This is everything
come on.
that I have to deal with right here. So This is the moment when we really notice the blonde streaks in Prue's hair. Like, they are super, super noticeable in this moment when she's, like, turned around to look at the stairs. But then we cut up to Phoebe's room, and she is lying on her bed, on her stomach, feet in the air, and she's watching the movie.
And the door is shut.
Yeah, but we're already, like, most of the way through the movie.
I know.
It's like she fast-forwarded to her favorite part.
Maybe.
Or we have time jumped. Not sure
I
which.
think she might have fast-forwarded. Although that even takes a while.
Yeah, because this is VHS after all.
Yes. Anyway,
So-
she's miming the words as they're saying them in the movie. And then Billy and Sally Mae start macking. And it's like hardcore fake macking.
Yeah. And she gets
It's
like a little
Kraft
bit...
mac and cheesin'.
She has
Because
like...
it's cheesy.
Yeah. She has like a little sad look on her face when they start kissing. In that, like, I remember kissing him and I'm not the one kissing him anymore.
Well, her kissing him also looked way fucking better.
Well, there is that. Because that wasn't scripted.
True.
Yeah. And we end with an overhead shot of her just watching the movie. And we go to the end credits.
Yay!
Yay! So, the episode is over.
Indeed it is.
That means we are on to our ratings portion of the evening. Have you thought of a rating?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 8.5 out of 10 CGI grayscale lips.
Sounds good to me. I am going with 8 out of 10 fictional perfection. Because it literally took me a while to figure out what I wanted to give this episode as a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all I could really come up with. Because there's so much happening in this episode, but there's not a whole lot happening in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that way.
Yeah.
You know? But, so, with our ratings done, that means we are on to our outfits. Did you have an outfit that you enjoyed?
I really liked Phoebe's outfit from the end.
Yeah, you
I thought
liked
it was
the
adorable.
denim?
I would never
overalls?
fucking wear it, but it was goddamn adorable on her.
Yeah. For me, I liked Prue's final outfit. The flower flowy shirt. It was very classic. It was very nice.
Although I will say for Phoebe's hair, the best I liked was in the middle when she had the two clips on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. I liked Piper's date dress. It was
yeah, that's
very, very classy. It was very nice. But, like, for casual wear, I actually kind of liked the ivory sweater and black pants.
Yeah.
Without the white hoodie.
Oh, of course without the white hoodie.
Yeah. And then for Phoebe, I liked the first outfit that she wore, actually. The white shirt with the red jacket and the flower jeans.
Mm-hmm. It was cute.
It was a cute outfit on her. And then when she took off the jacket, like, the white shirt was actually really cute.
Mm-hmm. And her hair looked nice there, too.
Yeah.
I like when she has the tendrils.
Yeah.
Or as my friend in high school used to call them, the sexies.
The sexies. Well, alrighty then. So that's episode 218 done and dusted.
Woo!
So that means we're on to social media stuff.
Yay!
Yay!
You can always reach us through email at charmchats@gmail.com.
And we will always respond as soon as I read those.
Yeah.
It might take a couple of days because I usually only check it once a week, but I
And
try
sometimes
to
you
check
have
them
to
often.
you have to wait until when we record so that you can ask me what I think and contribute.
Exactly.
But generally we get those through within a week,
Yeah.
depending.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to put this out there now since we are getting to the end of the season, which means we will be starting season 3 fairly soon. If you would like to send us questions, comments, quements, anything that you would like to add to our discussion about any episode in season 3, go ahead and email it to us and we will absolutely read that and put that into our discussion when we get to that episode. You can even, if you have something for season 8, you can send it to us now and we will remember it.
We'll get to it
Hopefully.
eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a couple years.
You can also get to us at charmchats.com.
Yep, you will always find our podcast there with all of the links that I put up. I'm still trying to do the pictures.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know right now. I will try to get pictures done for at least part of season 2 that I know that I had mentioned that there are absolute picture things. I'm probably not going to bother from season 3 on because I just really don't have the time
Okay.
to do it. And I'm letting you know now in episode 218.
Maybe we could work out something where you tell me you need a photo of something and I can do it on Netflix.
Yeah, if there's
'Cause
like...
for me, it'll just be a screenshot.
Yeah. that might be the other thing is the possibility of just like a quick little screenshot thing. I know that there are definitely a couple of episodes in season 2 that there were things that I do want to put up so that people can respond, and I apologize that we still haven't gotten them up. But my life has become very, very busy over the past couple of months in ways that I never thought it would be busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't have the time right now.
That's fair.
So, yeah. But that being said, you can find us on Twitter at CharmChatsPod, and if you tweet at us there, I will respond usually within a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Because that goes directly to my phone, that goes directly to my computer. Like, that's the fastest way to get us. And if you want to send us a message that is more than 140 characters, ask me to follow you so that you can send a DM, because I believe that you have to be following the person that's sending a thing.
Yeah.
Because Twitter is weird like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have email or you don't want to send an email, you would just like to tweet, send a DM, just ask me to follow you so that you can DM me, and I will gladly do that, as long as you're not a porn bot, you know.
Yeah, that's
little
just
things.
basic minimum.
Yeah.
We're also on Tumblr at CharmChatsPod.
Right, which I usually, it's just putting up a picture a day of something that we have already seen and talked about. So if you're hurting for pictures,
Yeah.
you can,
Or gifts.
yeah, you can check that out, and you'll at least see some stuff. They're not in any semblance of an order or anything, but that's there.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Facebook at Charm Chats. We put up some random crap there.
Yeah. Mostly blue.
Yeah. Our Instagram is nearly 90% blue.
Yep.
Oh, who am I kidding? 99% blue.
95, I'd say.
All right.
I don't think we have 100 photos on there yet.
No, but there's a lot of
And
blue.
there's several that don't involve blue.
That is the truth. That is also under Charm Chats. And again, if you like a photo, if you comment on a photo, I will always try to comment back as long as I actually see the comment, because Instagram is not always the bestest.
Mm-hmm.
But commenting on an Instagram will probably go to Kendra before it goes to me,
Probably.
because Kendra's the one with the Instagram account.
Yep.
I do the Twitter, you do the Instagram.
This is true. And lately I've just been like on the Instagram so I can see Renee's new puppy, because that's where she puts them.
Renee from...
Can I pet your dog?
Yes, that's what I thought. That's fine. Anyway, and as per always, if you would like to help us out, send us $1 or $2 or $10 or $20. You can get us at our Patreon, which is patreon.com/charmchats. We are back under our $65 goal, which is kind of sad, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that can be said about that, other than the fact that we are back under the goal that we are trying to get to. So, just a reminder that our $65 goal helps us keep all of our stuff up on the website. That is literally the whole extent of the $65 a month goal, is to be able that we can pay for their storage and keep all of our stuff coming up, not only on the website, but on iTunes. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing. If you listen to our show on iTunes and you have a couple extra bucks to spare to help us keep our show coming to you on iTunes, head over to patreon.com/charmchats and help us out. You will get a blooper or two every month. Sometimes you get a tangent. Most of the time it's bloopers, just because those are the easiest things to put up. And those are for whatever tier patron you want to be, you will have access to those. We do not make anything stuck at a single tier to be able to listen to it. As long as you're pledging at least $1 a month, you will get access to those. But I think that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, thank you for listening, and thank you for enjoying, and we appreciate every single one of you. So until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the Morlocks bite.
Bye!
Bye.
Phoebe, Piper, and Pooh, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at. It's Week with Kendra and Kat on Charm.